Hello, this is John Clayton, Contracts, Claims and Disputes. Here I set out a few ideas on some basics of claims, whether they be for changes, variations or extensions of time. Firstly, what is a claim? Yes, it is a dirty word, and even though written into the contract, it's disliked by owners. Perhaps subjective, but a claim starts from the moment an owner rejects a legitimate request from a contractor for a formal change order or extension of time for completion. Therefore, a claim can be for money or time or both. Claims can arise from many situations, and this little scatter chart indicates quite a number. Said, this series is concerned principally with events arising during execution, from design through procurement and construction to and including testing and commissioning. Thus, the thrust here is towards changes, variations, extensions of time and costs, delay and disruption, and acceleration. Other items mentioned on the scatter chart, including insurance and financial claims, will be treated elsewhere. This is quite interesting to establish a claim, whether it be under a contract, the contract documents, contract law, or law of tort. So why give notice? Well, the simple answer is the contract says so. There is always a sentence which says the contractor shall give notice or similar wording. There is logic behind it. This is based on the premise that the owner, if notified of an event, may have the power to change things. Giving him no notice denies him that chance, and hence the contractor becomes complicit. No notice equals no legitimate claim. No ifs, ands, or buts. Do not risk having a claim time barred by not giving timely notice. Follow the procedure to the letter, and by the way, ensure that the owner similarly follows the procedure to the letter. Each project is different and particular. That said, there are numerous tasks that will fall to be carried out for all claims. From the list that follows, it should be noted that they are not necessarily in chronological order. For example, absent a legal entitlement, no time need be wasted on the other 9. Also, there are tasks that may be executed in parallel and others that are iterative. So 10 things that I think should be done. Treat each claim as a project and manage it accordingly. Identify the events and draft a plan. Review the contract. Review the plan of work. Analyse the schedule. Review change orders and correspondence. Ensure you have all relevant documents. Review actual productivity. Evaluate recoverable costs. And of course, establish legal entitlement. So treating the claim as a project. This is important, and in fact later I will do a detailed presentation on this. For now, identify the team manager whose job will be to lead the project staff with detailed knowledge of the facts and history, the estimator or project engineer with knowledge but perhaps more objective than field staff, a contract expert to provide the contractual framework for a claim and identify, develop the strategy for recovery and write the narrative, and a scheduling expert for detailed schedule analysis. Identify the events and draft a plan. By the time things have become so bad that a claim is inevitable, the events are sure to have been identified. The leader should interview the bid and project staff, review the changes to the project since the bid was made, review schedule and sequence changes, review actual productivity with that planned, and prepare a plan for claim preparation. Review the contract. Let this not be the first time. The contract documents are the first set of documents for study, and the following provisions are particularly important. Provisions for changes, notice provisions, and provisions for the response, delay procedures, dispute procedures, and the schedule. Review the plan of work. Discuss the plan of work with the project team. More on the plan of work follows in a later slidecast 0208 plan of work. With the PM, the scheduler, the cost controller and supervisors decide upon who does what and when. For an overall view of the project progress, read the monthly progress reports, MPR, and summarize key events reported. Analyze the schedule. This is easily said, but for EOT claims it's perhaps the most important activity and the one that will consume much detailed work and very probably many iterations. The more events that have arisen will not only increase the initial work, but also each time a delayed activity is analysed, there could arise changes to others already reviewed. Starting from the base schedule, this would be either the approved one or, if there was no approval necessary, as submitted. Ensure that the initial logic was sound. If that's not so, it may be politic to amend the logic to become reasonable. From the MPR, review the changes to start and duration of events and resultant impact on activities. Determine why starts were delayed and durations altered. Were these schedule events formally notified to the owner? Review the change orders and correspondence. To understand the position as to changes, review the chronology of all change orders issued by the owner, change orders requested by the contractor, correspondence and minutes of meetings. How many requests were agreed and how many were rejected? Was the full time and cost impact notified and agreed? Was the procedure followed by both parties? Make sure that you have all relevant documents. Let them be organized so that the RFI's chronology can be tracked until resolution. Relevant daily, weekly and monthly reports prove events. Identify those relevant and use as supporting documents for proof of events and impacts. The executive summaries of the MPRs can be assembled as one document to provide a speedy overview of the history of the project. Review of actual productivity. This step applies in those situations where disruption is alleged and has to be calculated, or more likely, estimated. The maxim is that delay can cause disruption and disruption can cause delay. However, disruption is difficult to justify and a future video 0347 disruption will give suggestions. Attempt to compare actual productivity with expected productivity. Identify deviations and decide whether there is any event that has caused shortfalls. And of course, notify where such is the case. Evaluate recoverable costs. Recoverable or admissible costs may include some or all of prolongation costs, loss of profit, perhaps moot in many contracts, disruption costs, abortive costs, direct costs and indirect costs. Identify any cost increase caused by events outside the control of the contractor. Establishment of legal entitlement. This is a key issue. I will cover this in more detail in a separate presentation, 0205, Right to Claim. When writing the narrative, use an easy, flowing style to paint a convincing picture using the facts. Avoid adjectives, avoid adverbs. Add some reference to law as support for legal entitlement, and aim for a reasonable balance between law and facts. See the separate presentation on claim formats 0243, claim formats, and the options available. Comment. Claims are not restricted to claims under the contract, that is, under the law of contract. Claims can also arise under the law of tort. I will say more on this in a future slidecast 0275, Law of Tort. Both fall under the heading of Law of Obligations. In this slidecast I've referred to three particular documents from Best Practice Construction Law, Herbert Smith Freehills and Bond Dickinson. Please add any comments or suggestions for topics. Any questions I will answer as soon as possible. Please also like, share and subscribe, and for notification of new topics, press the little bell to the right of the subscribe button and remember to select all. Lastly, thank you very much for watching.